Hey ladies, and welcome back to Black Noir, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Tanya, and I've created Black Noir as this is a space where we, as in women, black women, can talk about healing, growth, and rebuilding your life in a real, honest, and most importantly, unfiltered way. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about something which I don't think we necessarily talk about enough, and that is the strong black woman syndrome, right? So I've got my tea. Go and grab yourself a drink and let's chat. So I figured it'd probably be best if we start off with, I guess, the definition of strong black woman. So a strong black woman has been defined as an archetype of how ideal black women are expected to act, which has been characterized by three components: emotional restraint, independence, and caretaking. Strong black women are expected to display strength and independence by holding back their emotions and taking responsibility for other people's problems. Wow. Okay. I don't think, as I said before, we really talk enough about the pressure that black women have to always be the strong one, right? And I actually think it's something that is sort of like ingrained in us from like a young age. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily remember a time when my mum sat me down and was like, you need to be a strong black woman. But like, it was kind of, in my opinion, kind of like always implied, right? We as black women were always the ones that people rely on. You know, we always have to have it together. One of the things that I was always told is that you have to work twice as hard just to be seen as half as good, right? And like the words that are always associated with this, like strong, resilient, independent, we can handle absolutely anything, right? And no matter what happens, we are always expected to kind of take care of everyone, and make sure that everyone else is good long before we take the time to ensure that we ourselves, that we're actually good ourselves. And I'm kind of talking from, my own experience now, like most, fairly recently, when it came to like, I was dealing with a lot over these past, like, 12 to 18 months, as I've told you all before. And it's like, talking from my own experience, I was dealing with, you know, my mum's health. I'm going back and forth to the hospital all the time. I'm beefing doctors. I'm speaking to carers. I'm speaking to, hundreds of people. Also, I'm the one that's communicating all the information to, my brothers and my extended family. And then I've got work as well. And I'm told that I'm going to be made, redundant, and just trying to juggle everything and like, the emotional like weight of it all. I'm still trying to hold it together because I'm seen as the one, the one that does that. I'm the only girl in like the family, and I felt like no matter what was going on, I didn't have the option to like fall apart, I have always, and I always had to have it together. And one of the crazy things I was thinking about whilst I was, thinking about doing this episode is that I've always said, oh, I'm someone that can genuinely like take on a lot. And the crazy thing that I've come to realize is really that like genuinely for years I wore my ability to take on a lot as like a badge of honor, that it was a good thing that I can carry a heavy load, which when I think about it now is actually insane. All right. There's always this like pressure with us as like, black women that like we always have to be strong, and quite frankly, it is literally exhausting. And like taking a bit of a side note, I was thinking when I was thinking about this about an old episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it was one where Nene was having a party. It was like a wig party or like a bi-wig party or something like that. And I think Greg that day had gone into hospital or something like that, and when everyone was around her they kept saying, oh, you're strong and you'll be fine, and you can do this, and like you'll be okay, and you're a strong woman, you'll be fine. And she kept saying back to people that like she doesn't want to always have to be strong all the time, and that she has feelings. And if I can find it, I'll put the clip in, or I'll put a link to it in the description, right? But it's like, why is it that every time we feel like, we need help or we have a problem, that we can't ask for help, right? It's like we see it as, like some form of like weakness or something. And it is, as I said, literally exhausting. And then also to add the other layer onto that, like, when it comes to us in our community, right? We don't we rarely go to therapists. Do you know what I mean? And whenever you're mentioning to someone that you might want to speak to someone within our community, and I mean the Black community, right? It's kind of greeted with like, a raised eyebrow and like a bit of a side eye, right? Because that's not something that we do. Do you know what I mean? Which is, it's crazy that we as Black women will literally run ourselves into the ground just ensuring that everyone else is okay. We don't ever raise our hand or say that we need help or anything, because it's, seen as a bad thing, as like a weakness, which is literally insane. And what I've kind of realized, the older that I've gotten, I've realized that, we deserve softness too. And I know there's that whole thing about, living a soft life and everything, and like, I mean, that's great, but that's not necessarily what like I'm getting at. It's more like, just because we're women, Black women, it doesn't mean that like by default we have to just, resign to like a life of stress, hardness, struggle, heartache, or whatever, and like doing it all on our own. Like, it's not a badge of honor. We deserve to be able to, say how we're feeling, lean on someone else for once, ask for help without judgment, right? Or even better, we deserve to be able to just say no, not have to explain ourselves, not have to apologize. It's literally just no. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to get to a point where like it's enough. And speaking from myself, I was going through like a lot, and it all just came, to a head. And so we're going to end up literally just working ourselves into like into the ground, right? Because whenever you ever heard, when someone's given someone a eulogy at their funeral, that they ever turn around and they say, "Oh, you know what? She was a great woman. She could really take on a lot." Like no one ever stands up, at the podium or altar or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like saying like, "Oh, she was great. She could take on a lot." Do you know what I mean? That's one of the things I really remember about her. That literally never happens, right? So, if you don't take anything else from this, it's just remember, right, that like you don't always have to be strong. Like, it's okay, and the importance of it's so important to like take care of yourself and to say no if needs be. And if you do need help, shout. If things are getting too much, say something, right? Do you know what I mean? But anyways, thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this resonated with you in any kind of way, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, and let's talk if you've got questions or anything. And if you're on this, journey of healing and growth and rebuilding your life too, you don't have to do this alone, right? That's why I created Black Noir, right? And I've created a private space over on Facebook called the Black Noir Sisterhood. I'll also put the link in the description as well, where we kind of just expand more on this and we have the real, honest conversation. So you're always welcome to come and join us, ladies, over there. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram so we can stay connected. I'm really glad you're here. Until next time.